Good afternoon, everyone. So today I got a little story for you guys, and I hope you like it. Stay tuned at the end of this video because I'm going to show you guys the measurements and the pattern for the rucksack. So stay tuned for that after the story. Let's get into the story. So the coming of age of a Cherokee warrior was around 13 years old, and they would take the boys that were about to turn 13 out into the woods, and they would sit upon a stone in the middle of the forest all night long, blindfolded, alone. And that's how they would earn their manhood. It was a test of manhood. I think that in today's society we've kind of lost that. There's more of an attack on manhood than there is being proud of being a man and the things that you have to go through to achieve that title. But I'm going to start with the story. This boy, he was sitting there all day on his birthday. He's 12. It was his day to become a man. It was his day that he had looked forward to but now feared very much, because he knew that at the end of the day he would be sitting on a stone deep within the forest, blindfolded, not being able to see what's around him. The noises he heard, he would just have to ignore them and go through the night by himself. So as he's getting more and more fearful throughout the day, thinking about things, thinking about his life, thinking about becoming a man and what it means, and to do this meant that to become a warrior meant you could go to war for your tribe, go to war for your family, go to war for your village, for the things that you believe in, for the things that you stand for, and even possibly be able to die for those things as a warrior, as a man. So he's thinking about these things all day, and just before sunset his father comes to get him. Comes into the hut, he takes him and he says, "Come on, son, let's go." His father takes him outside of the hut. They're walking through the village, and as they're walking through the village he notices the whole tribe is out there. The chief, all the mighty warriors that he knows of his tribe, all of these people that he's seen come back from battles with other tribes and battles with the newly European people who came over that did not speak their language. So he's getting more and more anxiety build up within him, thinking, do I really want to go through with this? But every time he looks at his father and looks at all those other warriors out in the tribe, he thinks to himself, I have to do this. I have to do this, not just for them, but for me. So his father takes him to the edge of the village. They get to the edge of the village, and his father takes out his blindfold. And he tells him, this is it. This is the last time I will speak to you before I get you to the rock. And he understood this. So the boy nodded in agreement. His father took him by the hand, blindfolded him, and led him deep within the forest. They keep walking and walking, and he just doesn't know how long he's going to be walking. He's never seen this place. He's never been to this place. His father just keeps leading him deeper and deeper to what seems like eternity, through the woods, through the creeks and the gullies and the hills and the mountains, all the way back into the deep within the forest. And they get back there, and his father just says, okay, turn around and sit. So the boy turns around and sits on the rock. As he sat there for not too long, he could feel the cold of the rock beneath him. He felt the cold of the air around him, and he knew that this was going to be a really long night. He could no longer hear his father, so he assumed that his father was gone. So as he sits on the rock, he could tell that night had come. He could see no more light through any of the piece of the blindfold. So as the night set in, he could hear all sorts of noises, the crickets, the frogs. He could start hearing owls. And then he just started to hear things that he feared the most. He could hear way off behind him in the distance a black bear growling ferociously. Lots of racket coming from that way. He thought he could hear wolves off in the distance howling, getting closer to him. almost circling him. At one point he could feel a snake rubbing up against his leg, crawling across him and down. And he just sat there, blindfolded, petrified with fear. He couldn't move. He thought he could hear other hunters from other tribes going through. And he feared maybe even getting shot, so he didn't move. He didn't want to get shot with an arrow, killed, mistaking, for being something else, some sort of beast, or knowing that they're from another tribe and just shooting him. So he just sat there in fear. He sat there all night thinking about the things that could happen to him, thinking about all the bad things that he might endure through this night, this long, long night of just waiting. And it just seemed like forever, and it was cold, and he just couldn't get comfortable. And then finally, when he thought he just couldn't take it anymore, he thought he was just going to burst and just get up and leave, even though he didn't know where he was, he finally saw some sunlight. And he knew that morning had come, and he knew that he had made it, and he could feel it deep inside of him. And he slowly reached back and took his blindfold off. And as he did, he noticed that his father was sitting on a rock right next to him. And he felt very emotional, thinking that his father had been there all night, protecting him, watching over him, not letting anything happen to him, not letting anything get to him. And he asked his father, he said, "Why? Why have you been here all night? Why did you sit with me all night?" He didn't understand. And he said, "Well, son, the lesson is this." He said that now you are a warrior. Now you are a man. He said you must know that no matter what happens to you in life, no matter how dismal things get, no matter how bad things possibly can seem, your family and your friends will always be with you. Your family and your friends will always truly have you in their thoughts and prayers, no matter what. He said that you'll never be alone during tough times. And I think that this is a good lesson for all of us to realize that no matter how bad you think things are going to get in your life, no matter how bad you think they seem at that moment in time, just remember there's always somebody there for you. Always. There's always going to be someone there for you. Whether it be friends or family or even gods or whatever religion you believe in, there's always someone there to talk to. For me, it's my grandfather and my wife, of course, but I always feel like I can talk to my grandfather, even though he's not with us on this planet anymore. I can always talk to him and know that he's there with me somewhere. He's with me right now. Just because he's deceased doesn't mean his spirit's not here with me. And I can always feel that. And I hope that you guys always have someone there you can talk to. I hope that you guys always have someone, that's going to help you through rough times, because I guarantee you there's somebody there that's going to help you. Sometimes it's even people you don't even know. Sometimes it can be a stranger that out of the blue just seems to happen upon you and help you out in your time of need, whether it be money or mental health or whatever. So just think about that. No matter how bad things get right now, just know you always have somebody. But anyway, alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I'm going to get off here and head back to the house. It's getting a little late, but it's beautiful out here and peaceful. I really like it. Oh, you always have nature. Always have nature. No matter what you think, nature's always going to be there for you. I know it's always there for me when I need comforting and just to get out and enjoy the woods and enjoy the peace and quiet. And it can always give you a way to sort things out in your own head and to think. Even sometimes when you got a problem and you think it's just so big at the moment, sometimes you get out and you think about it and you're like, you know what? You realize it's not as big as you thought it was. And that's a good way to overcome things too, is just to stop, take some time out and think about things. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight. that's the video for the week. Remember to stay tuned. I'm going to show you the measurements and the pattern for the rucksack if you're interested in that. So you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you guys later and catch you on the next one. Stay safe. Okay guys, here we have the measurements and everything. I got some weights on here to pull those tight and everything so that you can measure it out right, because after you wash this it's going to be a little bit off as far as straight. It's not going to be straight, so you want to weight it down on four corners to make sure everything is straight and lined up so you can measure this out and get it all squared away. So for the top and the bottom, for the flap I'm going to use leather, and for the bottom I'm going to use leather just to give it more of a little bit more strength in the bottom than canvas, and I figured it would just look good with a leather top on it. So we'll start with the top measurements. The top, you're going to go 15 inches across and 13 inches long. And for the bottom, you're going to want to do 24 inches, and that's going to be all the way across the bottom like that. And then you're going to go up 6 inches, and then you're going to go in. Let me get over here where this is at. So for the bottom, you're going to go 24 inches long. That's all the way through here. Then you're going to go up 6 inches on both sides, there and there. Then you're going to go across 4 inches on both sides, up 4 inches, and then across 16 inches. So it's going to look like this from the bottom, and then there's the top, and then you're going to have the sides cut like that with those measurements. The front of the pack is one long. I haven't cut this out yet, and I'll explain why in just a second. So the front of the pack, you're going to have 16 inches, and that's going to be wide. And then you're going to do 27 inches. I know it's upside down, but that's going to be long. And then back down 16. So it's going to be 16 by 27 square. And then for the back, this is going to be the back of your pack, you're going to want to do it 15 inches. But what I've done is I went ahead and did 30 inches across. That way, when you sew it, because you're going to have to sew this together, so do 15 and 15, that's 30 inches all the way across. And then you're going to go 19 up, and then 30. And I'll show you how to sew all this together as soon as we get it cut out, and that'll be on the next video. I ordered beeswax to wax this canvas and wax the leather to make it waterproof, and that way it'll work better that way. So once we get the wax, and I'll show you guys how to put the wax on, and then we will cut it so it doesn't fray. We'll put the wax on first, so when you cut the canvas, it doesn't fray the canvas. So once we get the wax, we'll show you how to wax all this down to make it waterproof, and then we'll cut it out and sew it together, and we'll go from there. But that is it for this video. I just wanted to show you guys how to lay all this out, show you the patterns and the measurements, so that you can acquire the canvas, the leather, whatever fabric you're going to use for this. And on the next video, I'll show you guys, how to wax them, cut them out, and then we'll start sewing them together. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you on the next video.